Welcome to the Crimson Warlord, a build that transforms you into an unstoppable, blood-soaked Juggernaut. With your massive two-handed sword, Horse Cutter, you'll carve through enemies while shrugging off damage like a true warlord. This is my favorite build in the game, and it's perfect for players who thrive on precision, skill, and calculated aggression. If you master this build, nothing can stop you. To maximize the Crimson Warlord's power, you'll want high constitution to turn yourself into a tank, along with might to boost your overall damage. Resolve is also valuable to make it so that you can parry and swing without pause. To become the Crimson Warlord, you need abilities that enhance your staying power and reward aggressive precision. Here's what you'll focus on. Barbaric Shout is a powerful ability that embodies raw intimidation and battlefield control. When activated, your character lets out a thunderous roar that staggers enemies within range, disrupting their attacks and leaving them momentarily vulnerable to attack. This makes it an incredible tool for interrupting enemy combos, setting up follow-up strikes, and controlling the flow of combat. Additionally, it allows you to easily stun enemies and gives you a gigantic second health bar. Barbaric Shout is a great tool to break enemy momentum and land heavy Horse Cutter strikes. The stagger can also make enemies easier to manage in groups, allowing you to bleed them out one by one without getting overwhelmed. Clear Out is a devastating crowd control ability in Avowed that allows you to sweep your weapon multiple times in a massive arc, knocking back enemies and creating space in chaotic fights. After it's fully upgraded, this ability also does a ton of AoE damage. Clear Out is a perfect way to reset a fight and control the battlefield. If enemies start to swarm you, one Clear Out will delete them all, allowing you to focus on isolated targets so it's easier for you to parry. Additionally, the combination of Barbaric Shout into Clear Out is one of the strongest combos in the entire game. This combo leads to massive stun, damage, and bleed on all enemies in the area. The combination of these two abilities basically fills the stun bar on any surviving enemies. If you hit an enemy with all three Clear Out strikes, they will either be stunned or be one attack away from being stunned. This works great for high health bosses and bears. If you prefer, you can swap out Clear Out for Flurry of Blows. Flurry of Blows is the better single target option and also grants you lifesteal. It has equally as insane synergy with Barbaric Shout as Clear Out does. For this build thematically, I just feel like Clear Out fits better, and having additional AoE damage is always very nice. The only real wizard spell we will be using in this build is Arcane Veil. Arcane Veil is a powerful defensive spell that grants you a temporary shield, drastically reducing incoming damage and making you almost untouchable for a short period of time. This ability basically costs nothing and gives us an extra 25% damage reduction, which is obviously a great amount of extra survivability for a build that's always in the heat of battle. Parrying in Avowed is a high-skill defensive mechanic that lets you block an enemy's attack with precise timing, staggering them, and opening them up for a counter-strike. Unlike a standard block, a perfect parry rewards aggression and precision, making it a staple for skilled players who want to turn defense into offense. Crucially, a perfect parry in this build will allow the Horse Cutter to deal high stun and high bleed damage, because a counter-strike counts as the final hit in a combo. So if you are a parry god, you are going to excel with this build. This build isn't for button mashers. You need to be precise, aggressive, and adaptable. Here's how you dominate the battlefield. Use 3-hit combos to deal high stun and high bleed to enemies in an AoE, focusing on power strikes. If an enemy attacks you, parry them and hit them with a counter strike for big bleed and big stun damage. If you're being overwhelmed by low health enemies, use Clear Out. If you're being overwhelmed by high health enemies, use Barbaric Shout and then use Clear Out. This will stun all of the high health targets, allowing for easy cleanup. Additionally, Clear Out is great at clearing out many small targets, making it easier for you to focus on one enemy to parry them. Don't worry too much about missing your parries, as this build is incredibly tanky, so it's very forgiving. What truly makes this build insane is how tanky it is. You're not just dealing massive damage, you're standing your ground, absorbing hits, and punishing every mistake your enemies make. At the heart of this build is the legendary weapon Horse Cutter. This two-handed blade isn't just about raw damage, it's about bleeding your enemies dry. Every strike applies a vicious bleed, making even the toughest foes crumble over time. And with well-timed parries, you can turn defense into offense, punishing enemies with devastating counterattacks that deal high stun and AoE bleed. Horsecutter has some of the best special effects in the entire game, and landing a counter strike with this sword is incredibly satisfying. As soon as I saw this sword, I knew that I had to make a build around it. For armor, I'm going to give you the option of going with Death Knight armor or Stelgaer's Pride. Death Knight armor is the tanky option, giving you much more healing and damage reduction. Stelgaer's Pride is a choice for the much more confident players out there. Stelgaer's gives you much slower stamina and essence, allowing you to dodge, attack, and cast more spells. Additionally, it will occasionally cast Barbaric Shout, which will give you a huge shield and more stun. This is the objectively correct choice for the min-maxers out there. However, Death Knight armor is perfect if you're just trying to learn how to parry. Next up, we have boots, and I'm going to give you two options again. If you chose Death Knight armor, I recommend the Sojourner boots, as they have synergy and give you more healing. If you chose Stelgaer's Pride, I recommend Berserker boots. These boots give you super high stamina regeneration, allowing you to attack and parry more. For gloves, we're going with the Sentinel gloves, as they boost our stun, which is what this build is all about. For rings, again, I'm going to give you two choices in one slot. The Berserker ring is straight up just going to give you 3 constitution, which is going to give you a bunch more health. This is great if you're the type of player that went with the Death Knight armor and Sojourner boots. However, if you're feeling confident in your offense, you can keep Bitter Bonding, which is the ring you'll get in Act 1. Bitter Bonding turns you into a vampire and turns your offense into defense, allowing you to lifesteal. Which personally, I just find a little bit cooler, but I don't think you can go wrong with either choice. Additionally, if you want, you could choose both of them over the final one I'm going to go over, the Ring of Major Deflection. The Ring of Major Deflection just makes you tankier and gives you an extra 5% damage reduction, which is fantastic. Lastly, for Amulet, we have the Mortal Haven, which grants you an Arcane Veil if you fall below 25% health. Mortal Haven pretty much just acts as a failsafe. This build is intended for the more tank-oriented players out there, so I think this is the perfect choice. Stelgaer's Pride and Mortal Haven are two excellent failsafes even if you decide to go with the offensive build. As always, all of these equipment options will be in a link in the description, and I'll let you choose which build you want to go for. The Crimson Warlord is all about skill, rewarding patience, precision, and raw power. If you master it, you'll turn every battle into a bloodbath while standing unshaken in the carnage. This is my absolute favorite build in Avowed, and if you give it a shot, I guarantee you'll see why. If you enjoyed this build, drop a like, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what's your favorite weapon in Avowed. Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.